Chaim Yidden, Chaim Chassidim. Everyone should be healthy and well. Kabel zijn gretten zeggen Kabel Satere, Besimcha, Bepnimius, L'chaim, L'chaim. The emes is as a. The emes is, what is a Farbrengenen? Farbrengenen is not really the time for drushes. The real Farbrengenen is people get together. And, all right, you can't just sit and twiddle your thumbs. It's emes is a perverter. Someone says something, but really it's a time for the union of the hergish, the feeling that we are aware of one another and we care for one another. That's what the Farbrengenen is really for. And in the Zoom forum, you can message to one another. Hi, I haven't seen you for a long time. You could do a private messaging, and that could be part of the Farbrengenen. Part of I'm thinking of you, and I haven't seen you in a long time. That's part of the Farbrengenen. And the mile is like this: the people who are chatting in the chat by the side. So this is what the Farbrengenen is about: the union of coming together. And the Rebbe, it was in such a kviyas when Rosh Chodesh was on a Sunday, and the Rebbe asked that they should make special Farbrengenen on the Shabbos, Erev Rosh Chodesh, and the special emphasis for achdus. If I remember correctly, the Rebbe used the expression bakosha nafshis, which is an extreme expression, really a deep, it's very, very deeply important to me. But before saying anything further, I'm just reminded of a maaseh with my late uncle, Reb Leibel Raskin, who was shliach in Morocco for over 40 years, and his rebbetzin is still there holding fort. And it was on a Thursday or Friday, and the Rebbe sent a message. At the time, there was no direct phone calls from New York to Morocco, Morocco being a Muslim country. And so the messages would be relayed through London. So the message would be called to my Shver Rabbi Sudak, and he would give over the message. So it was a particular, I'm not sure which Shabbos it was. I don't remember. But I do remember after Shabbos, we received a letter. Do you remember those old aerograms? Those thin, some people don't remember, yeah? They used to have these folding, very thin paper folded over. And my uncle wrote up the whole story, and we received it a few days later. What happened was, it was on Thursday or Friday, and the Rebbe at Ibegegab, and he gave over that there should be Farbrengenen this Shabbos. It wasn't a Shabbos Mevarchim. It was something which is, extracurricular. And the message was to be relayed through by Reb David Raskin, my uncle in New York. He was asked to give over, and the Rebbe said particularly should make sure that Morocco gets the message, Casablanca. And then, so David Raskin calls up my Shver, and he tells him, and he makes, to make sure. Then a while later, before Shabbos still, he gets a call from New York, going back in the late 60s, early 70s. Did Morocco get the message? And he was able to report, yes, that Morocco was given the message. And I've never been to Morocco. It's one of my things on my list to do, but I never got there. But versteht sich, if he got a special hero to make a Farbrengenen. So there was in his Rue Washington, whatever, he has his Chabad house, and made a Farbrengenen. And in the middle of the afternoon, suddenly people came in and said, do you know what's going on here? What's going on in the street? There had been a military coup. It was on that Shabbos, King Hassan, Hassan of Morocco was celebrating his birthday, and like a chief of staff of the military had become kind of loyal to Libya, to Gaddafi and so weiter, and they made a military coup in the birthday. In his birthday. And right away they took over the radio, and they announced on the radio that We're now under new management. And Sivan, it was a mamish, it was a whole Iberkerenish. It was, how do you say Iberkerenish in English? But it was a whole tumult and such a chaos. People didn't know what was going on. Very, very frightened, because Libya with Gaddafi were not known to be very, should we say, gentlemanly and good. And here they're Farbrengenen. So they continued the Farbrengenen. Had a hero, continued the Farbrengenen. And then a couple of hours later, it turned out that the loyals to Hassan managed to overpower those who were loyal to Gaddafi, and they regained control back to Hassan, who was always always kind and considerate to the Jewish community. And Dot Megazen, that the Rebbe had obviously was aware that there was a special need. Middle of a Farbrengenen. L'chaim. Mevarchim, middle of a Farbrengenen. L'chaim. Yeah. Dealt with that now. Okay. So this is the story which I'm reminded. The koyach of a Farbrengenen, and the Rebbe kind of anticipated that there's going to be a problem. Farbrengenen will solve the problem, will address the problem. And that was what happened. And so a couple of days later, my uncle wrote up the whole story from Morocco, and we were able to kind of share in that experience. So that's the power of Farbrengenen, getting together. What do we have? Just one word which I want to share with you. Every week is published a sikha from previous years. And at the moment, they're currently publishing from Tafshin Ahmed Gimel. Someone who's clinking his glasses, please switch off your mic. Unless you're saying lots of l'chaim. So now, what does it say? We say by Matan Torah, Pesach is called Zman Cheroseinu, our freedom. Sukkot is called Zman Simchoseinu, our simcha. What is Shavuos called? Matan Toiroseinu. The focus is not on us. The focus is on the Eibishter gave us the Torah. So the focus is more on higher than ourselves. And the Rebbe says that's why Pesach is 7 days, 8 days. Sukkot is 8 days, 9 days. Shavuos is 1 day. It's such a high thing. It's just it's not us. It's the Eibishter gave us the Torah. Therefore, that's emphasizing the 1 day rather than, of course, in Chutzlos is 2 days. But one last point, and that is Moshe Kibul Torah Sinai, that we say in Pirkei Avos. And then we have the Lashon of Zichru Toiras Moshe Avdi. Remember the Torah of Moshe. Hello? It's the Eibishter's Torah. It's Hashem's Torah. So why do we say Zichru Toiras Moshe? Why is the emphasis the Torah of Moshe? And here the Rebbe says the following. We know it's Eibishter. But we might think Torah is so exalted, it's beyond me. It's so high, it's too high for me. So no, Torah was given to a human being. Yeah, it's true. Moshe Rabbeinu, the 40 days when he was up in receiving the Torah, he had a special diet. Yeah, but Azoi, Moshe Rabbeinu was a human being like all of us. He ate and drank, and he functioned like a normal human being. So the message is Torah shouldn't just be felt. It's something which is beyond me. It's only for very special people. The Torah's Moshe, Zichru Torah's Moshe Avdi, that Torah is something which is reachable and it's accessible to each one of us. Just finish off that there is a Sikha of the Frierdiker Rebbe where he says that on Shavuos one should actually verbalize that I am accepting the yoke of Torah. So I'm just sharing that with you, and each one of us besimcha b'pnimius. When we have a simcha about Torah, so then that's one way it can filter through. It should be pnimius, which is something which should be ingested, should become part of us. L'chaim, l'chaim. Ya da ya 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 Ay 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 ya dre ya ya la da ya la da ya la da dre da ya dre ya ya dre ya da la da ya da la da ya da la da Is there a chairman for this Farbrengenen? Is there a chairman?
You, I think.
I am the chairman. I have to say that. I'm sitting on the chair. Yeah. Just the Seder wird jetzt sein also. We have now, it's going through the formalities, yeah? Yashar for the organizers and who put this together. It's achdus of London and Manchester and also Australia. I am told that there was that coup d'etat, with an attempt at coup d'etat in Morocco was in Tafshin Lamed Aleph. So I was a few years close to the thing. I guess I was about 11, 12 years old. So we have here, we're going to have Rabbi Tilsner, who many of us have got very affectionate memories of, and he will be joining us. He's going to get up 6:30 a.m. in Melbourne time, but till he gets around to that, until he gets out to mikveh v'chulo, Nevila, we're going to have also a Rabbi Beryl Korf, the Mashpia and Rav in Manchester, will also join us. But let's I think chaparein one more niggin. And I also want to say that I heard this following word. I've said the people in Stamford Hill have heard it many times, or they haven't because I've been chatting by the side, but never met her. But as I say, that Chassidische niggin is like a cold bed on a winter's night. What's the kesher? You get into, in summer now we don't think about it. In winter you get into bed, and the bed is cold. So you're rolling in the bed, you're rolling your head in the back and forth, trying to find a warmer spot. And gradually you warm up the bed, and then the bed warms you up. And that's what a Chassidische niggin is. You get into it cold. Everyone's got their own Yetzer Haras and Nefesh Abamis and their weight. And then you get into the niggin and you start niggin, and then you get into the niggin and the niggin warms you up. So let's sing another Chassidische niggin.
Sivan, the time that all Yidden get together to prepare for Matan Torah. The Sikha of the Rebbe explaining that when we see what they exactly did when they prepared for Matan Torah, on Rosh Chodesh they didn't do anything because they were too tired. Therefore, it wasn't the time to do anything. They didn't start preparations. The preparations started the next day. What does it mean? They were too tired. They were counting down to get to Torah. They were too tired to prepare. The Rebbe explains that really that was the preparation, because the Rebbe explaining that when we see what they exactly did when they prepared for Matan Torah, on Rosh Chodesh they didn't do anything because they were too tired. Therefore, it wasn't the time to do anything. They didn't start preparations. The preparations started the next day. What does it mean? They were too tired. They were counting down to get to Torah. They were too tired to prepare. The Rebbe explains that really that was the preparation, because we see the Torah as something which is totally beyond us. It's receiving it from Hashem, and it's connecting to us, to the deepest part of us that's higher than anything we do, anything we achieve. And therefore, there had to be that stage where they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything as a preparation for Matan Torah. That was like the first step, the best step of preparation. And now it's not them, it's not their achievements, it's not each one's personal milus. It's the Nakuda of a Yid, which through that they could connect to the Torah and actually achieve what Hashem wants of them in the Torah. The Chayda could be very, very time related. We're preparing for Matan Torah, and we had this long tkufa of not being able to do much. You want to say in the holy terms, like the shul, the daven, to have. I mean, we have shiurim. People are having shiurim online, and Farbrengenen online, but lots of a lot of times when you want to come to church, you want to get this little hail. You want to go to mikveh. You want to be able to go to shul, down with a minyan, and be on the right checklist with Hashem. That now I did all my achdus, and now I could go ahead. I could go to Matan Torah. Sometimes you have this preparation, which is the opposite. I didn't do anything, not because I chose not to do anything, because I wasn't able to do anything. Obviously, not anything at home. You can still learn, online you could learn, but lots of the regular things which you took for granted, you don't take and you don't do anything. Now, when we're preparing for Matan Torah and we're coming all together, it has to be neged the harbor. In other words, we have achdus Yisrael in order to strengthen our connection to Torah, our devotion to Torah. Now, usually we do that, let's say, by Farbrengenen. We sit by Farbrengenen, we encourage each other to strengthen ourselves in this Indian and that Indian. And in general, in community life, that's the way it should be, when we give each other a bisla chizuk, whether in an open kind way or a hidden kind way, we give each other a chizuk, and learning and davening and chassidische behavior, whatever it is, that's normal chassidische shtivel, chassidische shul. Not always everything so smooth and so polite. One day you give each other a reminder, a kind reminder, this way or that way, about things that have to be done. So if someone comes late to shul, where were you? Someone doesn't come to chassidus in the morning on Shabbos, no. Going on, let's come. Someone comes late to shul, someone is not there for a while. If different things happen to a person, if different things, you don't see the behavior being so appropriate, no? What's going on? Now, the mitzvah is that although there's a positive thing in encouraging each other to strengthen ourselves, many times we're fast to judge, to come to a conclusion that different people didn't do certain things in the right way, and therefore we want to remind them and encourage them, whether it's from the people on top to the people below, from people below to the people on top, or people below to each other. We have very friendly encouragements to strengthen ourselves. Now the fact is that if you don't stop for a second and think, what might be the reason behind the person's lack of behavior, misbehavior? So first of all, you might be misjudging the person, but also you won't achieve the goal. Let's say a person has a certain hardship, whatever it is. Let's say that the easiest case, a person's hard for him to get out of bed. Or in a harder case, a person, needs to take care at home, or something not settled at home, or whatever it is, and therefore you cannot participate in certain things, or you cannot accomplish certain things. He still needs an encouragement. Still, a person needs to grow, needs to learn more, needs to daven more, needs to be mechanech his children better, etc. They still need encouragement. But if a person doesn't have the first step of realizing where a person is coming from, then the encouragement won't be taken. Because you're fast to come to a conclusion that, I don't do such and such, I do this such and such, I should do such and such. But if you don't understand me, then I'm not talking to you. if you stop before you speak, which is a very rare activity, and you start thinking, what could have been the reason why the person did so, and then you come to the person and say, maybe come, maybe whatever, even if you don't dig into whatever you have, whatever things he's struggling with.
Just make sure that if you're calling one of them not to come.
Sorry? There's that. So, it's just like going to go from one into the next. Every person's in defensive mode. And you're not even talking to him. You're not talking to him. You didn't realize where he's coming from. You're not talking to him. There's the story about the Mittler Rebbe that he wanted, in order to give a ticket to someone, he had to go through or find that he himself had that issue himself. The dakus, and then he could help another person. Sometimes we have to go through a stage, and we all didn't come to shul, we all didn't come to achdus, we all didn't come to Farbrengenen, and we all didn't come to many of those things. So, we're in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. Now, you all want to start. Someone was mentioning before that, the Rebbe spoke about those Yidden in places that they can't do the mitzvahs, and they really want to. So they might be a bit lacking, because the reason that in our situation, we feel very, 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 very holy in not doing the mitzvahs. We're following the rules. We're following the rabbanim. We're following the doctors. They say stay at home. And therefore, I'm doing a mitzvah by staying at home. So why should I want to go to shul or but it's nice. It's nice at home to go with the family. I mean, there's a mile to that. But there has to be a bit of that desire that I would want to daven with the minyan. I would want to learn. I would want to whatever. And I would imagine that when things do open up, there'll be more of a chayis, more of a finally maybe we could get together. Finally we could learn. Finally we could daven. But we all tasted the not doing it. And tasting the not doing it, besides the fact that for us, it could be a stepping stone to get involved with the greater chayis, not mitzvahs and not just we do it always. We go to shul and we down with the minyan and respect the shul. We don't stop chatting shul. We starting from fresh. Let's start it in the right way. Let's cheering more. Let's strengthen the Farbrengenen more. But also, we all had the taste of the land. And we have the taste of the land. Then when we approach someone else who didn't do, because we also didn't, and you don't know why he doesn't. You don't know why he's not participating. You don't know what he might be going through. You don't have to dig. You can just know that you don't know. And if you don't know, and then you approach a person and you strengthen, maybe come to this, maybe come and maybe come to time, maybe come and maybe don't talk, maybe join a Farbrengenen. It's going to come in a very different way. It's not going to come from the fact that I am the complete person and I can tell you how come you didn't do it. It'll come from the person that we all rested and didn't do anything for a while. So we were on the same page, but we want to start. Let's try to see how we could start. It goes both ways. I mean, when people are together and they could talk to each other, so they always could shoot the complaint. The rabbi and then the principal and then the shliach and then the gaboyim and whatever it is. I mean, today on social media, people could still do it, but it's not the same. At the end of the day, as much comments as we do in shul, you wouldn't put on WhatsApp. There's not space for everyone to give so much comments. But both ways, a person comes to the shul and says, "Why didn't the rabbi do this?" The rabbi could be a human being like you as well, and he could have the heart you have to come to shul as well, and he could have many other things on his head. And you don't know why he did this or he didn't do that. You might want him to do something. But if you stop and you saw that, you didn't do for a while anything, and you then find that other things you didn't either do. But you would want something to be done. You know what? Give a positive remark, maybe this thing should be done. It's not so much the words you choose, more than the mindset you have in your head, which causes the tone, the attitude of what you say. So, Vayichan Sham Yisrael means that we all want to get together to strengthen our chizuk and Torah, which that's our goal. We want to strengthen our own chizuk and Torah, our children's chizuk and Torah, but even by the we have to mechanech our kids. We want to help others in mechanech their kids to go the pure derech of Torah, pure derech of the Mevarchim of Torah. That we shouldn't say Yeridas Adoris, now we can do less, now we don't have to do the pure Chassidish atmosphere. Torah doesn't change, Torah is the same every year, not the issue with the same Torah for us, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our great grandchildren. It's all the same Torah. Therefore, we want everyone to keep to that Chassidish style. Chassidish style, not the Chitzonis of the Chassidish style, the devotion, the Emetzkeit, the purity, the Edelkeit of Chassidish style, the exclusiveness of Torah view, without bringing in and filling in people's minds and habits with things that get them used to worldly view, a worldly behavior. We want ourselves, our children, and everyone else's selves and children to go in that behavior. But if we just demand that and tell that and encourage other people without stopping and thinking what could be the cause for a lack of it, without trying to understand the other person, without trying to realize that you might also have a lack, then it's not coming from a pure place, it's not coming from your true desire to strengthen Torah, to connect people to the Hebrews, they come from your feeling elite, feeling higher than the other person. However, when there's this stage of like, we're all in the same boat, we all didn't go to meeting, we all didn't go to mikveh, we all didn't do many things, didn't hear Kriyas Torah, we didn't hear Seres Adibris. We all want to read our own Seres Adibris. We all did lots of things which we like, that's, we didn't go Mitzrayim, we didn't, I don't know what we did. But we still tried whatever we can. And we tried to strengthen our connection as much as we can. And we are who we are. We are connected to the Eibishter regardless. So the same as the other person. And so the other person might be going also. What we went through now, he may be going through other ways at the times. Why isn't he educating his children? Why are children behaving in a different way? Why is he behaving in a different way? You don't know. It's not that he should allow it and encourage it. You don't know. You can never know what's behind it. You can never know what's behind it, but you still want him to be in the right path. So then you can come to him with the right approach and you give a friendly nudge and say, come on. Or if you want to help those that have more effect, more influence on people, more whatever, that more power in their hands. You want to help them use out their power properly. You can understand that you don't need to use your power properly, but you want them to. So you give them an encouragement in a positive way. So that's when it's Vayichan Sham Yisrael. We're all united together. Our neshama is talking. Our neshama is coming out now without our being complete. We're very incomplete. We're coming to the Torah incomplete. But our neshama is complete. So we can see how every Yid's neshama is complete. Every Yid's neshama is complete. You want to make it even more revealed, even more connected. Fine. So we'll encourage it. We really want it. We want the Kehillah to have a Yiddish atmosphere. We want the children to have it. Not just an atmosphere, but a commitment and a life that's fully taken over by Kabbalah Torah. But if you want that, then it has to come with realizing your lack, with realizing that other person's lack, you can never know what's behind it. And therefore the encouragement will come in a positive way.
Right there.
Time to Melbourne.
Time. What time did you guys start? What time did you guys start?
3/4 of an hour ago.
Hours ago.
I thought you said 9:30 you're starting.
Wir haben jetzt gemacht eine Hachone für Rabbi Telsner.
Never. So who's the first speaker?
You were the first speaker. This is all just a Hachone.
Okay.
Amen.
You're going to walk in Shokeldik into Shacharis.
That's for sure. Der Rebbe Shma Seiden gesagt, sheyichalu bi ubehashoymim. Chaim. I don't know if you have to make a shechion and it's sheer. I got to shine my shechion. I don't believe taking mashki before davening has been a regular theme. L'chaim. Manchester has a very soft spot by me and Hartson. Having so many years spent every week, one day in Manchester. Very, very geschmacked place, as everybody knows. The Rebbe had a very close connection with Manchester. Oy. Everyone realizes what the days that we are now in. We just came from Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh, we know, Kishechad B'Lev Echad, which is one of the most surprising things which happened to Klal Yisrael in its history. Usually, as Ashi says, altogether machlekes and this and that, which of course Manchester doesn't have these things. But Ma'iten Bechlal, given Alamol, strife, and this, everyone has his own opinion, and the whole concept of Sphira, but the Rebbe speaks about Shleinoagu Kovid Zeh Bozeh, and I heard from Uncle Label, Mama Lichting Gan Eden, the Rebbe, when he first came out with the beer on Shleinoagu Kovid Zeh Bozeh, so he said the Rebbe made, first there was a letter and then there was a sicha, but the Rebbe put in an unbelievable amount of effort into writing the letter, and then eventually the sicha. And the Rebbe's word, as everybody knows, that the pshat is that they're still called, after all the problems and after all the difficulties, they're still called Talmidei Rebbe Akiva. It doesn't say they became Ois Talmidei Rebbe Akiva. And to be a Talmidei Rebbe Akiva is a title. It's not Stamazi. When a person says there is a Lubavitcher, the Rebbe's a Chosid, so it demands something. So you have to, you just can't change, you can't become. I remember when Mr. Rader, Olav Shalom, after a few years, I don't know what year it was, he wrote into the Rebbe that in the army, when you want to re-enlist after the 4 years that you serve normally, so you have to re-enlist. So he's writing to the Rebbe that he's re-enlisting. Well, the pshat is that to be in the Rebbe's army, you have to be about madrega. You have to earn it. Human being, you're born. That's it. But in order to be in the Rebbe's army, the Rebbe demands, as we all know, that even though the Rebbe accepted every single individual to be in the Rebbe's army and to be part of what the Rebbe is doing to bring Mashiach Lamato, you have to be in a certain madrega. So the Rebbe said, so the Talmidei Rebbe Akiva, even after they had the whole business of Noagu Kovet Zeh Bozeh, and as a result of that, there was this terrible tragedy which took place. But after became, they were still called, we call them Ada Yei Mazeh Talmidei Rebbe Akiva. So what's the Rebbe's beer? The Rebbe's beer is that everybody always wants the other person to have the best. If you have real Ahavas Yisrael, so what's the pshat? Emes Ahavas Yisrael. Emes that still has the Alter Rebbe's in Tanya Ka'achim Mamosh. Of Echad L'Kulonu. Talks about.
Looks like Rosie. It's
So, and everybody wants the other person to have the best of everything. So if I have a shita, if I believe that my way is correct, and I believe, I understand the Akiva. One of the problems that the Rebbe used to say many times that but the Rebbe used to say something, that get touched tazeh, that get touched tazeh, and everybody had his own way of looking at it. And as a result of that, I want to make the other person, if I have real Ahavas Yisrael, I want to make the other person that he should hold exactly as I believe is right. Therefore, I have to have an impact on him. I have to influence him. The only problem is the different ways of influencing people. It's influencing people with Gutens. Everybody knows a famous story already. Fola Khan brings it in his Bichel, that there was a very big shot. Gold. It was a big shot in Mizrahi. And he came to be Menachem Ovel, the Rebbe, Dacht in Tavshin Yud. And then later he met the Rebbe somewhere else. So he told the Rebbe, I'm worried that I may become your chassid. So the Rebbe said, "Was darf mir stan me yira, am ken stan me avo." That the Rebbe's inyan was always avo. Now that avo, because you believe that what you have is right, so you want to impress the other person and influence the other person. Shaila is, how do you do it? So the Rebbe always said that the best way is to be a dugma chaya. The person is a dugma chaya, as you know, sheyeshem shemayim isai val yodecha. When the poshte pshat, we have to survive kecho, we have to survive kecho. We have to leave home the mebish. See this the talk the whole yoni. Leif yobi de avosei. But the poshte, the other pshat, when the Gemara comes along and says sheyeshem shemayim isai val yodecha, you behave in such a way that every person wants to be exactly like you. But Talmidei Bar Akiva didn't do it that way. And they had a different way, and as a result of that, Rachmana litzlan, it reached the level. But the Rebbe says, but they still remain Talmidei Bar Akiva because everybody meant Lishma, everybody meant L'Shem Shamayim, no question about it. You didn't do it properly, you didn't realize. The question was Ben Adam, and at the end of the day, not always do we actually absorb and realize exactly what we should be doing. The Talmidei Bar Akiva really meant well. So we have the union of Sfira that we go through that to get us out of that mind of the massive and to realize that we have to reacho kamecho means mamish kamecho, and that there has to be a way that we treat every other individual, even though we are unbelievably we want to reach the madrega that they should be like we think you have to be. First of all, today I'm as Almainian as I have the truth and nobody has it besides me is a very interesting thing, or whatever it is. The poil. So we just came from Yemiyah Sfira. If you take a look at this and the whole business in the Rebbeinu Shalom, we say that the Zichur Chamidus, that we have to go through the 49 days to take every single midah and to bring it properly and to take the Sa'ira, which is a Michael Behema. This comes along and talks the whole Maimorim. You take a look. It talks about Michael Behema, right? Michael Behema, Vidaram Michael Behema. So the Rebbe attacked to Rabbi Dubov in Manchester. It's interesting that those of you, I take a look at faces. I don't see too many faces. But the Poel, alles in the Junge, and today when I remember when I used to tell Getzl all the time that, it was on the Junge on red. He used to turn around to me and say, but du hast doch the weiße board. I take a look, everybody over there has still the black beards. Remember, there was in Manchester, had a rabbi called Rabbi Dubov. Rabbi Dubov was an unbelievable makusher. He was in New York on Zion Shvat Tov Shin Yud. 3 days before he came to America, the label of son Dubov was getting married. And right after the Stalkers, he was one of the first guys who jumped on the bandwagon and said and told everybody, I'm the Rebbe. And he was Gora Grace Chosid. And he mamish was he had to write gleich verstanden was mit afton. So he used to write to the Rebbe, and sometimes he got answers, sometimes he didn't get answers. And one of the shilas he has with the Maim, I think it was Tafshid Gimel, if I'm not mistaken, but the Rebbe answers him about the neshamas, because the Rebbe mentioned that today neshamas are mostly Zera Behema. So he asked the Rebbe, when the Rebbe brought up my ganz hariches, that there's no neshamas was on Azedal. The Rebbe says in Terei Dachzach. But whatever it is, we have an Nefesh Habamis, and the truth is Sfir Shaimer. You got to take care of the Nefesh Habamis. And everybody knows Yodelish Benafshe, what the Nefesh Habamis is all about, and what Yeshus is all about. There's a Maimer, there Malash, in Tov Reish, Lamed Vov, and the Shemshach, and Bekocha. Unbelievable Maimer, where he talks about what Gazus Aruach can bring a person, and he lays it out there so clearly. The Gazus Aruach can bring to Allah Midas Rois in the world, that people's yeshes and people like Iva can machre sein, that I believe that what I'm doing is right, and 100% that everybody's got to follow me, and if nicht, and you give in to you think that you are staff to sein, and 100% everybody's got to follow you, and you've got it right, and as a result of that, you can do anything. And that's the sphere Shahima, that we have to get rid of that. The whole union of Gasus Ruach, we got to get rid of all these inyonim. And then finally we get to like Beimer, which is the Rosh Hashanah, Pnimis HaTeira, Rashbi, an Indian, the unbelievable Rashbi, the Chagilgul, Moshe Rabbeinu. And Pnimis HaTeira is something which is a taste of Mashiach, Te'ameo Chaim Zochu. I once heard from Label, one of the things of being married to Label's niece is that you spend a lot of time with Label, and therefore you hear a lot of mices. So by Label saw things which, of course, none of us were able to see. But he told me once that the Rebbe, when somebody used to bring in a Bichel Chassidus, so whatever the Rebbe was doing, could have been, who knows, the Rebbe would take the Bichel, and he said for the next few hours, there was nothing to talk about. You couldn't get anything done. The Rebbe was in a world of his own. I pushed forgetting about everything that existed. The Rebbe totally forgot about what was going on, and he said it was in a mamish, an anoilam, acher legamre. And this sometimes went on for hours, he said. I remember one year, Yechidus, there was someone from Russia came and brought the Rebbe a very thick Bichel Chassidus, a real big one. And this was Thursday night Yechidus. Now, Thursday night Yechidus used to be sometimes, who knows, the wee hours of the morning. And that Shabbos, the Rebbe has a maimer from the Bichel. Yeah, as he said, when the Rebbe had time. There's a beautiful story I love to tell, that those Bachim, the Yeshiva Bachim, I hope, are sitting around there. It's time gesessen gelernt, the ganzen Tag. So we know for a fact that the ones who gave out the Meiris, there was a guy called Avram Sefer, Sefer, and he was very close to the Rebbe. The Rebbe liked him very much, and he was able to go into Yechidus whenever he wanted. I remember many times, in the middle of the day, Mincha was postponed because he came, and once he came and went to Yechidus, you can forget about it. And he was first of all, and he knew a lot what was going on in the Jewish world. He knew a tremendous amount. The Rebbe knew him and got a lot of information the Rebbe used to get by him. So he once was talking Yechidus to the Rebbe. He was a Meirdik about a Spiler, some unbelievable type of a guy, even our Oiberländer and everything else, but he was a Meirdik about the Spilers. So once he was in Yechidus, and the Rebbe was talking to him about different inyonim. And in Yechidus, he used to go in whenever he wanted, and he would always stay for a while. It wouldn't be for 10, 15 minutes. It was usually an hour and a half, could be 2 hours. And in the middle, they would talk about a certain inyan, and this Avram Sefer says that Reuven Margolius, Olav Shalom, talks about it. So the Rebbe said, yeah, they gave up a Sefer, and Dorten, and them Shtikl, and Dorten. So he jumps up and he says, Rebbe, but they just gave out the Sefer 2 weeks ago. How do you know about it? So the Rebbe says, they're out of the blue. I'll be getting back to Pnimis HaTeira, the Rebbe's Hafotzes HaMayonis, and that which we all say, which the Rebbe put so much effort in them. Does the Malka Mashiach, the whole business of bringing Mashiach, so we get to Lag Beimer, and those of you who see Likutei Diburim, when the Frierdiker Rebbe talks about Lag Beimer and Rabbi Zikomla, that they didn't just Farbrengenen, the night of Lag Beimer, and that was it. So given a ganze Woche mit Gehulet and mit gemacht Sudes, it was a whole business Lag Beimer. What's this Lag Beimer? Gili Pnimis HaTeira, unbelievable. And then eventually, after Lag Beimer, we get to Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Rosh Chodesh Sivan ki Yishech b'lei v'echad. B'yom hazeh bo midbar Sinai ganze Meise tutzach in the Mevarchim. And all of a sudden you have ki Yishech b'lei v'echad. Me get mekabels on the Teira neged the har, and people change. What says ki Yishech b'lei v'echad? Means something changed. About the Teira, that there's a certain change. A certain person realizes that he's coming up. So what's the whole piyula? But the word is we reached a madrege. We were elevated from Yitzias Mitzrayim, from being avodim, from Alolo Ev David Zor, and all of a sudden we reach a madrege, and you're standing and HaKadosh Baruch Hu Tavdin Selikim Elohor Hazeh. It's a different ball game. All of a sudden, you have a situation that Hagila the course, all of a sudden the ganze Tachlis Abriya becomes different. So Bo Midbar Sinai, you start up Rosh Chodesh, and Rosh Chodesh, the Rebbe writes the Fete Sicher, and Chodesh says Elochem in Parshas Boi, it was Tavshin Chavav, I remember it was a Meir Shona from the Tzemach Tzedek, Motzei Shabbos Farbrengenen. I don't know why I was there. But they used to me off. I came from New York, so I had to take a train. I got some ice. But I was there by that Farbrengenen and the Sicha. There was Magia. Dort steht der ganze Hore dort. About Rosh Chodesh is Kelel. All of the days of the month. So you already have everything already. Ganze Chodesh you have in Rosh Chodesh. But what happens is, Kevan of Nea Sinai is a completely different situation. So after the Sphira, and then we get to Bayim Azebom with the Sinai. And then you have the Imam Yuchas, Vatem Tilam Amleches Kernim, Begay Kodesh. And as that, so the Koskes word, Vanshi Kodesh, I'm not interested in Malachim, I'm interested in people. Klum Yesahara Yesh Benechem, Abav Yesh Benechem, as Torah was given Lamato. There's a story going around. Where did I hear it? I don't remember where I heard it. That someone told the Rebbe that the Misnagdim don't understand a few things. And one thing they don't understand, Avos Kochsech, the Rebbe, in Dire Betachtenim. So the Rebbe smiled. And the first shaila was, why doesn't the Rebbe come to all the Asifas? You know, the Misnagdim Rabbonim, they make Asifas, Umeretasach, etc., etc. And the Rebbe never came. The Rebbe used to come before the Nesias. If you know, there's a beautiful picture. Before the Nesias, the Rebbe used to walk around in a short jacket, Alavesen. My Shvel or Hashem had a murder Kamaisa. Not Mezong L'chaim, even though in the morning to say L'chaim, I'm not used to drinking in the morning. That is a beautiful story. Zalma Yafal of Hashem once brought the Rebbe 4 or 5 bottles of mashke into Yechidus. So the Rebbe looked at him and said, "What is the Rebbe going to say? I became an alcoholic. You know, here the Rebbe like Tavek. I got some bottle of mashke. People say the Rebbe drinks before davening every morning." I was stating with the Tzemach Tzedek, the famous story that he used to drink a glass of water. My mistake that the Gabe Chaimer, instead of putting out water, put out mashke. So later he realized the mistake that he made. See, Gebet Mechila beim Tzemach Tzedek. So Tzemach Tzedek says, "Yes, verstehe, I wasn't so gedaven gor anders." You know, yeah, but I'm not interested in drinking the mashke for davening gor anders. No, l'chaim. The Rebbe shall help him. Chassidus demands that we got to absorb it. It's got to be the whole concept of what Chassidus is all about is nicht. So that nice haskolas, and the gishmak, and very nice. But it's got to become part and parcel. It's got to change. It's gators. What's it Matan Teire? Matan Teire is gators. What is gators? Goy. I mean, everybody has to type trace what a goy is. Anyone goes to the Manchester goy and what kind of thugs you have in Manchester. And at the end of the day, that goy all of a sudden is going to be totally transformed with that chelik elekami mal. And he becomes, and it's mamshech atzmis umahos. You think about Papachla when you learn Chassidus, it's very geschmack. You learn, and you talk about it, but just think for a moment, what are we talking about? No, l'chaim. We should have a realization, Bosmes and Vemes and Vushtekman and what's happening. And it should have a pool. A pool should bring the Teasil of Pelela. The Rebbe wants mice and bepoil, dira lebetachtenim. And what's mehr tachten is mehr kavona. So l'chaim, Rebbe shall help us sein mit Simcha bepnimis, Kabbalah Satere, wir so werden Chassidim, wir so werden Yidden sind immer schön. Wir so werden Chassidim, wie es darf zu sein. L'chaim. No, sing up some so get me some time to wake up. Wo der Chazonim, Rabbi Niyazo, wo der L'chaim. Comes Rosh Chodesh, we get to Yom HaMyuches, V'atem tilu mamleches kehanim v'gei kodesh, which means Amaraf HaMachona. Everything is achona. Nothing can happen by itself. Zayin achona, zayin machshava dibur maises, zayin aveis hatfilas, zayin aveis hamitzvahs, everything. And then we get that Moshe Rabbeinu comes together Amaise with Nasa v'Nishma. So Chassidus goes to town on this whole business of Nasa v'Nishma. So the Chal, the Kasha, that after Nasa v'Nishma, Yodu Shnei Malachim, and again, Shnei Ksorim, can I get Nasa, can I get Nishma? So Chassidus talks about something which is very interesting. Everyone knows that I think it was Moshe Feller had chassid about Shiva that he made called Velvel Green. All of us shown. Very interesting guy, very geschmacking man. And when he became frum, so how do you become frum? When the Lubavitch, when you have the Indian about Shiva, so what do you start with? Welche mitzvah you start with? Usually nowadays you start with putting out film, etc., etc. I remember there was once we had a younger man, we had to start from the very beginning. We had to start from the Rosh Chodesh. The guy wasn't gemalet. It was me and Tully. We had a pshir every Tuesday night in the city in London. So the night, hashgacha pratis l'mayla midech hateva. So we had a chasana on Sunday night in a very big hotel in London. And we were walking down the hall, and we see a guy with a grüß, a weiße Hitler, those of you who are in the cooking business. So you wear this nice shmata, weiße shmata, put on your head. You look mamish, very geschmack. Everyone remembers the Lagbema parade when Kazminski, was doing the dough, and he was driving by the Rebbe. And the Rebbe laughed. It was beautiful to watch. It was mamish, the nachas on the Rebbe's face. And so the guy walks by, and we're walking. So he says to us, Shalom. No, the minute anybody says to you, Shalom, is the chshana. A Pesach, you can already start doing something about it. So we say, Shalom, Maharahin. And they talking to him, Maharahin. In fact, the Shaila, are you Jewish? It's not really, only my mother's Jewish. That's all you needed to hear. So we start talking to Maharahin. And this was Sunday night, and we told him that we have a shir Tuesday night. He should come. It was around the corner, it wasn't far. Mr. Shalom, Olav Shalom, very geschmacking man. So he came. And he came for first year. And finally he was invited for Shabbos. And slowly but surely he became nearer and nearer. Till he mamish started becoming it's gechapt. But on the other hand, he's going to get malet afila. First I had a mamish, an Italian name, mamish a goyish, and no one with all you do. And secondly, a person just give him a tat even a goy. And halt is with the Shagasari, etc. So Garnish, so you had to remember he had an uncle who was Taka Frum. I don't know how the uncle didn't have a shpo on him. Und er hat gegangen mal und Posche gibt shooting today's in German and it's just wrong that long bored mit a stupid Kinder. Unbelievable. You have to start sometimes with the bris. So you have to be mekar of someone else. And we darf machen für a Mensch. So therefore you have to start from Shumei Ravas Hitev, the Al Mitzvahs, you have to do it. So I mentioned before, I want to finish the story. So with Dira B'Tachtenim. So this guy complained that these misnakim were complaining to the Rebbe that first of all, he doesn't come to the meetings. And secondly, well, I kocht sich in Dira B'Tachtenim. So the Rebbe said, you want me to come to meetings, was verstehen, gib a kugel, when man redt in Dira B'Tachtenim, is verstehen, was man reden. So therefore, was against his asifis. They don't understand the basic nekuda about Yiddishkeit, about the old Tachas Abriya is and everything else. Then there's all games like a red mitzvah. It's a Rachmanis Avzei, person keep shooting at the end of the day. So the word is Achonatim Nasa V'Nishma. So Chassidus comes along and talks about there's a bittul harotzen. The Rebbe says that piston, so you got to do it. And there's a bittul Baal harotzen. What's a bittul harotzen? The Rebbe says like in tefillin. So you know when you put on tefillin, I have there more than usually. The Torah talks about chukim, you talk about paraduma and basabacholov and shatnez. You take a look and you ask someone, you know what Jews do every morning? They go out and they spend a fortune. They buy these animals. They take the skins of these animals. They put them on the head. Now you tell anybody in the world that you put an animal and you put it on your head. I think you're crazy. When you put animals on your head for, you put cats on your head, you put dogs on your head, hang on ox. Like this on the head, and you pay money for it. You pay big money. You pay cost of a maiden. So that's it's a choy. I mean, anybody in the right mind would think you put an animal on top of your head, and then is miskashem with that so. So it's also like a choy. But the Rebbe says you're rotzen to Rebbe. But then you have the mitzvahs that you like and the mitzvahs you don't like, and mitzvahs are difficult. Alle weisen, Chassidus kocht sich, Atre Yedaiti ki Yereele Kimato. The Avraham Avinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, after the Akedah, he's already 137, Atre Yedaiti ki Yereele Kimato. Effects of the Kasha, Avraham Avinu was doing all this work, Ben Sholosh Hikeres Beirei, and the Rebbe's beer is that there were different madregas. The Gemara says, Chamachlekes, when was Hikeres Beirei? It was 3, it was 10, 20, it was 50, right? So the Rebbe says, Pshat, different madregas. The madregas started off at 3, there was one level. As he was going right, there was a second level, there was a third level, etc., etc., etc. So it comes to his Makriv Yitzchak, and then there's that. After you died, all of a sudden, the Rebbe based. After the man is working for who knows how many years, day and night, Asern is Shenes with all the mices, and all of a sudden, the Rebbe comes to Mouth and after you died, all of a sudden, they woke up. Was it upshot? So Chassidus comes on and says, that Avram did all that he did. Sometimes we do, because we get a geschmack out of it. Shabbos, mes the kugelum, mes the choms, uda heisen mikveh, etc., etc. So it's a geschmack. Yiddishkeit is geschmack. It's come cheesecake, with essen cheesecake, with essen blintzes, with sagen l'chaim. What's wrong? So everybody enjoys it. It's a mitzvah that everybody enjoys. A geschmack. It's beautiful. But all of a sudden comes a mitzvah that you nicht as gewaltig get up in the morning and mit darf lernen Chassidus and mit darf davenen wie es darf zu sein und darf horven and nicht lernen Chassidus and mit darf give nights wie steht der Rambam even one night. But our portion is the other mitzvah is geschmack. Sometimes it's very, very difficult. It's a beautiful story. There was a Rabbi Siegel, tall fella. I remember he was 6'4", 6'5". I remember his father noch from Shalayim. Even go to Sefer Torah Salvim. Very geschmack. We have big, tall fella. Remember when I saw him as an old man. So this Rabbi Siegel used to go to Russia very often. Well, in fact, before he went to Russia, he would go to Yechidus quite a long time. And then when he came back, he would report back to the Rebbe. So one time he was doing, and then he tells the Rebbe that the last time the Rebbe gave him what to do, one of the things that the Rebbe told him to do was very, very hard. It was mamish, he went in there in the good days when it was difficult. It says, eine von der Sachen wird sehr schwer. It was very, very difficult. So the Rebbe looks at him and says, Rabbi Siegel, since when did the Rebbe sign a contract with us that everything is going to be easy? Who steht this? The Rebbe is going to tell us, listen, all you guys, it's getting geschmiert. It doesn't work that way. So the mitzvahs that we do, it's not easy. So the mitzvahs, it's not easy. You can be the biggest chos in the world, and I'm get my bissel geld. As a meisje with Alter Rebbe had not Alter Rebbe was in the Zeiten from the Rebbe's Prostate. I forget the guy's name. So my shver wishes to tell the meisje that he was pushed very karg. He was very tight-fisted. Everything, and to get a penny out of him was, difficult. I give a chosin mit alle meisters. Aber es kommt zu geben Geld, all of a sudden comes the money, people verlieren sich, mamisch. And as that besteht, the Avodah Zorah, the Taiva von Avodah Zorah hat mir gebeten auf Geld. Others sagen, Rebbe said it, others say. So the story goes that he once walked into shul and hat gesagt, der Elam verbracht. So someone came over to him and asked him, and maybe you want to give some money to participate in the Farbrengenen. She said, and they knew that this guy, to get a penny out of this guy, ain't easy at all. I mean, you try. Yeah, maybe sometimes it may work. She said, was Farbrengenen? So he told him, heute kommt alle Tevis, Alter Rebbe's Yortzeit. Oh, Alter Rebbe's Yortzeit. And he gave him a few pennies. That means only by the Alter Rebbe's Yortzeit would he give a few pennies. Otherwise, it's schwer, nicht allemaal. So Avram Avinu's midas hachesed. Avram Avinu was midas hachesed. That silus of that Kodesh Baruch Hu miyem sheim and manivra Avram was a mid mishamish bim kemi. What do you need chesed? That silus. Midas of ein sof as an allein ein sof. Midas says that you don't need an Avram Avinu. Chesed be'etzem. So what's the pshat? So what happens? So Avraham Avinu, everything that he did to help, to teach, to give orchim, was all chesed, and that was Avraham's ganze metzias was chesed. Then all of a sudden you tell Avraham Avinu, you know what? I want you to do something which is the exact opposite. Not only it's not a little bit like chesed, or it's a me'enda chesed, or it's just moving away a little bit from it. I want you to do something which is mamish 180 degrees, the exact opposite of chesed. Not only the opposite of chesed, something which is so abnormal, so mishuge. Tell the people, the whole world, next day in the papers, Avraham Avinu, this guy who's talking about chesed, is talking about kindness and goodness, and the Rebbe says, achaz and everything. Look what a guy did. He went up to the mountain and he shechted his son, 37-year-old guy. Says the Eibishter, oh, yet Zechar doesn't do it because you want to do it, because it's em geschmack. I found this geschmack and do mitzvahs that we like. He's doing it because das will der Eibishter. The Eibishter wants you to idle and stabino lachte veitzim et mishneiden holz. Kodesh Baruch Hu tells us we got to knock down trees, but knock down trees. Ever no knocking down trees? No, but the Eibishter will say. We verstehen the Mevarchim Hashem, we don't understand nothing. Sometimes we get to it. Remember, they once said that Rashi B'Pura Aduma. Everybody says Zachoy. No, if I can't, sometimes you do see Pura Aduma, which is supposed to be the stereotype of watching go of Choy. Make it your town. But sometimes you don't want to do the mitzvahs. You don't want, it doesn't fit into your schedule. A person is not correlates a lot, and sometimes he likes mitzvahs, sometimes he doesn't like mitzvahs. As I mentioned before about Velvel Green, he said, let's start up to a mitzvah that I like, and we'll see. And hopefully mitzvah get rid of mitzvah. Mitzvah you take it easy, putting on film. But then you have mitzvahs that are difficult. Nicht as a poshet, nicht as a poshet. And then you do it with the same gishmak, with the same ave, with the same simcha that you do with the other mitzvahs. Oh, does that one has nothing to do with my yeshus. What's up, Shah, my yeshus? That I want to have to do something. Rebbe Nishma Seder says in the Maimer Anat, an unbelievable story that everyone knows that And then Shuva Ranat, the Rebbe said for Adatz. Adatz, you're a grace of Chosid. And when he came to the Rebbe to Satan, he told the Rebbe he wants to hear an Avodah Dike Maimer. So the Rebbe said for him, Shuva Ranat. If I'm not mistaken, dort in the state, Avodah Dike Maiser. Why is when a person does a mitzvah and he has a geschmack out of it, so the pshat is lagarmei, he's doing it. I'm enjoying it. People love it. I says to me a geschmack. So what if you get a schar, I think he says over there. You get a schar. What is the schar of the mitzvah? As ich hof from them members. I get something out of it. I'm enjoying it. Not doing what it says. Shmo. Say it's that famous story with the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov the Cheich. Now coming up in Mitzvah Shem to Shavuos. So when you do, I get a schar. It's legarmei. You're getting it. If you know you're going to get an ANASH, so you don't want the ANASH. Who wants to get that malchus? Nobody wants it. So therefore, the schar and the ANASH, the whole thing is what legarmei. Because of me. Doesn't have it. Doesn't tape shebenega said that's not really what it's all about. Face of Storm, the Ma'aseh of the Baal Shem Tov, that he made that Moifes, Achashul Pesach, with the lady that couldn't have children. So Yotza Baska, the Baal Shem Tov lost all his chusim, everything. If he did such a thing, he had to change the whole Siddur Bereishis. So as a result of that, he ain't going to get nothing. So the Baal Shem Tov, Yetz came at the end of the Mevarchim Lishma. I understand the Ma'aseh of the Baal Shem Tov. You needed to kick the Lishma. It doesn't make sense. But doesn't it work? They get Pasha doing Lishma. No, that's what the Yeli came out to. That he's doing it because bittle and balarotzen, ilul and stavino lachte weizen. The Rebbe would have told us to go and just hacken holes. And sometimes it's time to make care of certain people then hacken holes. Merette, that mamish as if it's in the wand. I remember when I first came to London, so there was a younger man that Rabbi Lou was learning with. So he gave it over to me that I should learn with the guy. He used to come every Tuesday, every Wednesday. Mamish, I told myself I'm talking to the wall, keep shooting. I'm with Langahor. Mamish, one of the old hippies with his holes in his he used to make them on a minig. And another have the air circulation, so he used to make holes in the dungarees. So I'm in the air all over the that's happened. Going with the boots they used to wear. I made the tziyurim were beyond. I was learning for months on end. I came cheshvan. So I said to him, I think we're wasting our time. Certain people you talk to, and you think you're talking to the wall. Now, anybody who's a Rav knows what that means. Even by Talmidim sometimes. Sometimes you talk and you talk. Mamish reden to the wand, as naim la kesel, go, and nothing happens. And you hope that eventually it'll go in. And 20 years later, it'll have a hashpoer. And then all of a sudden, Pesach came along. And the guy was invited to a Seder. And all of a sudden, from that Pesach on, Mamish, the guy took a haircut and put on a normal pair of trousers. And that means even though you think you're talking to the wall, but you don't know, the Rebbe's emunah in people, you take a look, they're going around with a mice, and I was on one of the WhatsApps. But then you got to read the WhatsApps. So you have no time. This one writes and that one writes, and I got Farbrengenen. Now the guy, everybody's Farbrengenen giving shiurim on the Zoom. You can't do anything now. You have 24/7. So there's a story going around with a French guy, an unbelievable mice. Guy with they brought this French guy to New York, and this guy Tchagedet has there's Mashiach. Mashiach finished. First, you can imagine with the Olam, it's like a lacht from my head. And the Frenchies, when they used to come to New York, they used to let him into Yechidus. So they told Label that this guy was a bisschen sein, a bisschen a modern Bruer, that's a kind of Mashiach. So Label told one of the guys that when he goes in, he's going to leave the door open a little, that he see that he's nudging the Rebbe too much. He was all, try to get him out as quick as possible. He goes into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says to the Rebbe, soll wissen sein, als ich mit Mashiach Tzidkenu. Fine. So the Rebbe says to him, you put on film? He says, no. So the Rebbe says, Mashiach has got to put on film. Says, okay. And the Rebbe goes from one mitzvah to the next. You keep Shabbos. I don't know. Mashiach, important person, I keep Shabbos. And the Rebbe goes from one mitzvah to the next. And after about who knows how many mitzvahs, the Rebbe says, you know what? Go back to France, do all of these things, and next year come back and we'll talk about it. So he walks out and he says to the Rebbe, see, The Rebbe didn't make fun of me like you guys. So, Poshte Pshat is that the Rebbe glaubt that jeder Nied ist ein Niedus von Mashiach. What's the difference? Dr. Mashiach. Oh, but the Rebbe has emunah. The Rebbe's emunah in people is unbelievable. I remember Fayush once told me a story that it brought a gvir. Now everybody knows a gvir is a very bifnei atzma. It's as if a kvi is nicht kein behemoth, nicht kein chai, it's a very bifnei atzma. You know, you had to with frappen them a geldbeim because that's mamish. Sometimes you got to be la. So when this gvir walked out of the Rebbe, he saw the guy was pushed, was crying like a little baby. And Fayush walked in after him. And the Rebbe said, so the Rebbe said, I had an influence on the person. The Rebbe didn't give up on anybody. He said people that the Rebbe was makarev years and years and years, onashir on abrek. And you ask yourself, why did the Rebbe put so much energy in Yechidus and in people's letters and the time? We're coming out to Erev Shavuos. So I once heard a story from Label. Unbelievable story. Label used to bring in the morning when the Rebbe used to come, so the Rebbe used to take in the mail. So Vice Toys, it was Erev Shavuos. It can't be any other time because nicht Erev Sukkot fits in and nicht Erev Pesach fits in. But I heard it from Label Baruch Hashemesh. So he didn't tell him, he told me the date, I forget. So he says, he walks in, I suspect it was Erev Shavuos, and he picks his head up and looks at Label. And he says to Label, "Was bin ich ärger wie a poshete Yidene? Bei mir is euch Erev Yontif." So Label hears this, you know. Label wasn't going to do it. The guy stood there and I want to hit him. You know, what's he going to answer to the Rebbe? Label told me, he says he never ever started a conversation with the Rebbe. He only answered. But the Rebbe doesn't need you to tell him. The Rebbe is ganz good what he has to do. So he put down the letters and the zettlach on the table and he quietly walks out. So Label told me later, you think he didn't answer every single zettel? Every single zettel was answered. As a result of that, but the word is, the Rebbe had time for everybody. The Rebbe had bli gvul emunah and bitochen and what people can do. The Rebbe could take mamish helzer. It's a beautiful story. I mean, it's unbelievable. Then a young man came into the Rebbe, and he was living in a town that there was a shliach, and the shliach even nicht alle shluchim and the people like you have in Manchester. The people, you know, we have some who are not top notch. And he tells the Rebbe that the shliach is this. He tells all the chesein. Baruch Hashem, everybody's got cheseinis. Nobody's a mushel. Nobody. Therefore, so the Rebbe says, "What do you want? You want me to take out the Sefer Yetzirah that Avraham Avinu wrote and make a new person? Ich arbeit mit was ich hab. I work with what I have." I never took everybody. They had time for everybody and everything. On Kemaisis. The word is, so when it comes, Chassidim, you know, that they talk about everybody has them. Every Chassidus has its hallmark. Chassidus meret wegen bittel, my mother for the bittel, and everything is bittel. Of the poil, you got to bring down the poil, mamesh bittel balarotz, whatever the Eibishter wants. So the Eibishter saying, tanzen fire, tanzen the fire, anything. Nachshon, but I'm not the Rebbe wants, but I'm not. The Rebbe wants, and the Rebbe, what he asks is the Teva say nu. You know, people think. When my shver was sent to Australia, you know, you take a man born and bred in Artzis Habris, and you take him with his 5 kids or 6 kids, and tell me you gotta go to Australia. It was tough shin you tests. Amid Boshmoma, tough shin you test. There was nothing. I mean, even I find a yid of you, nothing. You tell I well, did ever want to make his life miserable. I got lo shmechot le machen for a godel. Everything the Rebbe gave us, every shlichus the Rebbe gave us, all the mitzvah, and we get something out of it. So when I read that we're giving the Rebbe something about that, we give them a nachas ruach, the ganze tambonas, they give them a nachas ruach, no question about it. So l'chaim, I got to go to the opinion. We have Baruch Hashem still. Baruch Hashem, David should help me as a dominionim. Even though sometimes staying at home and let them chassidus, we can daven of us. We will no one tanzen auf dem Kopf. Sometimes very geschmack. Aber nicht das will der Eibishter. The Shai is what the Eibishter wants. Nicht was ich will. Ich will a lot of things. Ich will a lot of things. You know, we have been seeing Haknel of Hashem, am lichting Gan Eden. Guf will essen, and Guf will fressen, and Guf will schlafen. Well, als the Guf, aber der Guf. Ja, der nicht benafsche, der nefesh oder beamte. Aber der Eibishter will anders. And the Indian of the ganze Indian, what the Eibishter, why the Eibishter choose Eden? He had called. So first of all, they weren't interested. The Rebbe has a Merdike beer. I don't know why people doesn't kochen them. There's a letter in the Igris. Kasha effect of Yosef Engel. That the Eibishter went around to all the Umas Ha'olam and said they want to be Mekabel the Torah. So what does it say over there? My age was state. So he went to Bnei Esau, state Leisirtzach. He said, no, that's not my business. My business is the thing. So the Kasha Sheva Mitzvah Bnei Neach. Well, what are you talking about? You're not going to keep the taste. Sheva Mitzvah Bnei Neach. When Sheva Mitzvah Bnei Neach, Leisirtzach. And if Yosef Engel writes, let's naga banaga delifrikino, nobody can answer the Kasha. So the Rebbe says a beautiful beer, very geschmacky beer. He says he wasn't interested that Bnei Esau should say, you know, the Maisa the Siddur, the Sheva Mitzvah Bnei Neach. The Eibishter wanted Bnei Esau should accept it on their own, that they should feel that this is what's darf. But what the Eibishter wanted on the Torah, that the person should be mekabel the Torah from his own. Zol alein pashtein ados is was medafton. And as a result of that, if you know, and Bnei Esau said, I'm not going to forget, I want to have a good time, etc., etc. But everything that the Rebbe does for us, and everything the Rebbe demands of us, and everything the Rebbe wants us to do, everything is l'teva. I don't always see the teva. You can see it 20, 30 years later. But you'll see it. So first of all, you see it even less than that. So you see it less than that. So the Indian is when Abisas and the Bittel of Balarots and the Rebbe Villepis. And at the end of the day, per lover, Hashem writes, some tzedek chassidim used to say, the Rebbe toisfirin v'asem vil. There's no question. No one believed. Farbrengenen of Hashem, by Farbrengenen from Worcester, when he said the Rebbe walked in 1946 into the Zal with how many guys were sitting there, and he said, "Me geht ibn em de Welt." The Schwer had gesagt, "Me geht ibn em de Welt," and they looked at the Rebbe like he's coming down from Mars. Who's going to take over the world? And for beards, I remember when I first came to Lubavitch in Top Shirchov, I had never seen so many big beards. I always thought the Bel Futafas had the biggest beard in the world. There was so many beards, but I seen the beards. I saw a bad young Bochum had been, they're going to take over the world. They didn't comb their beards and they didn't brush their teeth. They walked around looking like who knows what. They're going to take over the world. I read Sachaim. Oh, said the Mukhrish, as the Mitzias. You take a look, everybody knows a bit what's going on at Yisrael, that they wanted to give this Mrs. some Lifshitz, they give her the prize from Eretz Yisrael on Yom Ha'atzmaus, the whole business, and she sent in there, and said, no. I said, you know what it means? We're telling that Eretz Yisrael to get what's will. You're not going to tell us what to do, we're going to tell you what to do. People don't realize what's going on over here. And Afar became a Afton. So L'chaim, Rebbe shall help him, so wissen sein, the schus to appreciate. What did Branover write? Mit Avdanken dem Eibishter, he gave us the Rebbe. Think about it. Just think. About the older Rabbeim, his house was like Soren. But we only saw, we didn't see the Fidige Rebbe. We only saw the Rebbe. Avdanken dem Eibishter. Then we have the schus, those of us who saw the Rebbe, and those that even didn't see the Rebbe. Rebbe Shimshak Kulal Menachem, there's a story he just published in my name, which it was in Yerushalayim. What year was it? Must have been in Topshin Chov Ches, maybe even earlier. Huh? So Rabbi Yolis from Philadelphia, of Hashem, came to Yerushalayim, and the Rebbe told me, "Shall get Farbrengenen in Teres Emes." And I was then in Teres Emes. So I took a taxi, went to pick him up. And I walk into the room where he was sitting, and then the whatever in the lounge. And I says to him, I'm from Tirzemes. He asked me, what's your name? I said, my name is Telsner. He looks at me, he says, Telsner, the Tat of the Chamizrachist, the Zionist. What are you doing here? So I say, the Rebbe is our Rebbe of the ganze Welt. And that's it. And we went. Yolis went back to the Rebbe and told the Rebbe the story. And the Rebbe of the ganze Welt. And we have the schus to be, you can kind of, Korev la Malchus, Yeshmer Yishena ba Malchus. That we have, those are Shluchim, those are Tmimim, those who follow the Rebbe's things. The Rebbe has everybody. The Rebbe nemt daran allen. L'chaim, there's a wissen sein, the schus that we have, but it's an achrayis, I'm ready to achrayis. Shoygeg, the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe Tanya says, why are you going to blame the Shoygeg Amaratzen, Misnagdim? What do they have? They have nothing. Sometimes you read some of the Sforim and some of the droshes that they give. It's so empty. And you learn on my Chassidus, it's like unbelievable. L'chaim themselves, we should have this appreciation. So Chodesh should take us. So sein Chassidus, wie es darf zu sein, ist an der Gile Lekus. Und das ist Eschbech Ruchi al Kobosser. So sicher sein, wenn wir ihm verbringen, Mama mit Beschirr zu kennen. L'chaim.
Kein Brache.
L'chaim. One of the things that in our time we were zeicher that the Iron Curtain fell, Mr. Rebbe had promised as a Zeged Zayin, and everyone knows there was a Rav in America called Rabbi Israel Miller. I knew his son very well. Even I had to find it off. She once was in Yechidus, and he was a big shot in the Stadus Rabbonim. And he told the Rebbe that there's a tnua now to try to get a lot of Sifrei Torah out of Russia because a lot of Kehillas need Sifrei Torah, different places, Harain. So I looked at him and said, what are you talking about? Medaf. So like he said to him, what do you mean Medaf? There's going to be soon, will be necessary, that we'll need the Sifrei Torah. For who? He said, for the Eden of Ruslan. So when he came out, he thought to himself, if he's going to tell the people outside what the Rebbe said, at Malacha from the Rebbe is worried that you need to be in Ruslan, that you can't go to shul, you can't. This was in the deep 60s when he couldn't do anything. So he thought to himself, maybe the Rebbe is, he's living in different worlds. Later, when the Iron Curtain broke down, he said, "Yes, habe ich verstanden, wer ist der Shaiter?" As ich bin der Shaiter. The Rebbe saw everything clear, what is going to be, what's going to happen. And then who could have dreamed? You have hundreds and hundreds of Chabadis in Jerusalem. So Baruch Hashem, in Australia, we have this minig every year before Chayelu. And before Jerusalem, Baruch Hashem, I've been away 3, 4, 5 times. I went from London. We used to go in the good old days. It takes a bit longer. That's one thing I must tell you. It takes a bit longer to go from Australia to Russia than from England. England, 3, 4 hours, you're right there. You come home the next day. So every year we go. I don't know this year we're going to go. They've eingeworfen this Magefa business, a schrecklicher business, but whatever it is, the Mashiach is coming, no problem. So I remember a few years ago, we were about the Baal Shem Tov for Shabbos. And Friday night was those of you who know the shul that the Baal Shem Tov davening was destroyed in 1947. The Nazis couldn't knock it down, and even the communists couldn't knock it down. It took a whole pool of businesses, and not only that, because of that, the United Nations historical committee went around and took pictures of the whole shul from alle Seiten. And that's why so eventually, I think it was 46 or 47, 48, the shul got knocked down. And a few years ago, a few Yidden got together and they rebuilt the whole shul exactly as the Baal Shem Tov shul was in the times of the Baal Shem Tov. Everything is wood. The only thing is not wood is the lights, the air conditioner, and the heater. But the floor is made of stone, and the tables and chairs beautifully done. They made it exactly as the Baal Shem Tov had of their own cages. In the back, there's a room which is behind the Bible shul, which they say was the Maggid, because the Maggid, of course, had problems with his foot. And therefore, he didn't walk very well, so they gave him a room in the back of the shul. And they did all he had to do. So Friday night, so we done my couple of Shabbos, and of course, Rosh Chodesh, we getanzt. Very moving, very, very moving. So a guy comes over to me, taps me on the shoulder, middle of the dancing. He says, Telsner, this is where it all began. This is where it all began. Who is it? The Stalkus of Baal Shem Tov. If we realize, without the Baal Shem Tov, what the whole world, the Rebbe said the world was in the Salfus. That's why they gave the name Yisrael. The ganze Welt was gechanished. We're going down the drain. Nicht can lernen, nicht can daven, nicht can mitzvahs, nicht gar nicht. Im Noches min Shmaya, all of a sudden, the Rebbe should send down an Neshama and revolutionize the world. You know, the Polish Omdach Tainus and Lubavitch thinks the Baal Shem Lubavitch. You know, they took Baal Shem Tov for themselves. With the Baal Shem Tov for us, for Lubavitch. They come with the Baal Shem Tov, and he changed the world from beginning to end. Beginning to end. And as a result of that, we are here today and we can Farbrengenen. But we have to realize that the Baal Shem Tov's that the whole tachlis is to bring down Mashiach Lamata, and that's what the Rebbe said, Klora Diburim. That the Avodah from Shdoida Shvi is to bring down Lamata, Lekos, Mishan Genuk in Golus, Mishan Genuk geplokt. So the Arizal gives a ganze Meise, we have Nevar sein alle Nitzutzes, and we have to go all over the world, and Echel Mekem Gevel Barbaria, and Echel Mekem Gevel Britannia, there's a Gish that the Rebbe brings. But the Tachas HaKavona is Lamato. We got to bring a Lekus Lamato, we got to Mashiach Lamato, and the Baal Shem Tov started it out with Avis Yisrael, with Avis Hashem, with Avis HaTeira. And that is the Kavona that we have to be as Kum Shavuos, where it all began. David HaMelech showed outside also. David Malka Mashiach. So David Avis had Tefillah, and Tefillah, etc., etc. But the Baal Shem Tov came along. David had plenty of people who didn't like him either. We talk about Snagdim, David got plenty today. Got Demi, but no Hazoch Chevre. You know, plenty of difficulties. It wasn't easy. Nothing was easy. Nothing was easy. With the Baal Shem Tov, there's a story. I don't know where the story comes from. About all of the sale, every time the Eibusha sends down somebody Lamata, so the Samach Mem comes to the Eibusha and says, "Not fair. It's got to be Bechira. You have to have always two sides to every coin." So, but Meisha Beinet Mishik Dad Kerach, and then it came to Baal Shem Tov Mishik Dad Misnagdim. There's always, whenever we have something good comes on the world, there's always Misnagdim, there's always Menagdim, there's always Chicken Neged. But Afal became the Baal Shem Tov was Misgaber. There's a word state in Peilische Chassidus, Tzaddik brings it, that every krechts of tshuva ad bias hagoyel is in the schus of the Baal Shem Tov. People don't, I mean, I already spoke to people in my father's shul. You remember Snagdim, I said there's no question, without the Baal Shem Tov, Yiddishkeit would not have survived. No question. Anybody who has any seichel, anybody who has anything that takes a look what's going on in the world, without the Baal Shem Tov, we would never have nothing. The world would have gone down the drain. We can read von Hein bis morgen. As in the Metzius. Now, interestingly enough, who took the Baal Shem Tov seriously? There's a man by us here in London, here in Melbourne. And he learned the Misnagdish Yeshivas, and he was one of the best Bochrim. And he was one of the best Bochrim. He still learned them. So he once asked him, why did you join Lubavitch? Everybody has his story. What did he see in Lubavitch? Those people who saw the Rebbe, so to remain, neutral after having seen the Rebbe doesn't work. To be a cult to Englishman. I was telling someone yesterday, what happened Shavuos, all the Englishmen used to come. There was a bank holiday and used to be no school. So I got into the Rabbi Safran used to tell Hashem, used to take people to New York for Shavuos, and Jaffe took people to Shavuos. Shavuos given out Yom Tov in English. The ganze English are really big in This fellow was learning by the Misnagdim. So they asked him, why did you join Lubavitch? From today's from Yagalach, unbelievable. They asked him, what did you see? What's this in Lubavitch? The scholar for Samachvov, my base. You don't start learning. You started learning that, then maybe people would jump more quick into Lubavitch. So he has answered a very interesting thing. Lubavitch takes Yiddishkeit seriously. Everybody else, Azah Heter, der Ameshes Matados and Ameshes Matados, und du hast der Heter, and I've been a Tam, and no, but the Vilna Gaon says you don't need to. And if jede Sache, aber nicht gefällt, the Rambam, the Tshuva, everybody's got the roots in life, auf jede Sache, nicht over zu reden. Aber who takes Yiddishkeit seriously? Now, the Rebbe sagt, Anecha Hashem Elikecha. Who takes it seriously? Keep shooting. And that's why I became a Lubavitch. When Azay is by every single person's got to be like that. That the Rebbe means business. JJ Hecht zeigt sich kochen. JJ remembers a soldat. That the Rebbe means business. You go terutzim mit alle meises. I once heard from Vetter Label that there's a guy in Etzisrael, the one that gave out the Shaila Moira, the Sforim Weinfeld. So he said when Weinfeld used to write into the Rebbe Eitzer or a Bakosha, whatever it is, he had an answer within a half an hour. So Levi asked, why? He said, because the Rebbe knew that a minute when he's going to write that the guy should do something, it would get done. There are certain people that Rebbe knew you tell something, it's going to happen. Rebbe once told me a story that the Rebbe once came in Sunday morning, and the Rebbe by Shabbos spoke about that everybody should take on a certain thing. So the Rebbe says to Label, I thought there'd be a line, going up the whole of Kingston Avenue, people waiting in line to sign up for doing. And the Rebbe said to him, Ben Zayda something for me. So they write more here. The Rebbe showed him once a guy writes more here. So the Rebbe said to him, when I ask this guy to do something, it takes months. By me, more here, I got to have it immediately. The Rebbe means business. JJ says the Rebbe does not interested. Can happen. Sometimes it's not easy. The Rebbe didn't give a thing that everything's going to be easy. And so, of course, at the end of the day, in the beginning, it looks a bit hard, but at the end of the day, the Rebbe helped. I feel a bezen keshisen. We see guys built up meisters, l'shem, l'silos seferes, on seichel, mit on chochme, mit gefolgtem Rebbe. Everything happened. Everything Alabama gets so big, and after he big amount of money with meisters. The Rebbe fit our belt the way he does it the way it has to. The Rebbe is the one who has to be to understand. That happens. It happens. And if it doesn't happen, it's imdova reiku, is mikem. It's awful. No question about it. No question about it. I'm a folk with the Rebbe's will. No question about it. You see hundreds, thousands of stories. I had in my shul, there was in Gaman, he's on one of the videos for Jem, he's on it. He died, he was 100 years old. He told me the story, he says. He knew the Rebbe in Paris. He was very, very close to the Rebbe in Paris. And not only that, very, very geschmack in Gaman. He's learned the English a few times. And he was a glass manufacturer. Glass, all kind of glasses. He had tiny, the Olam says that the Chinese invented glass. He says, no, the Eden invented glass. The Chinese didn't do nothing. The only thing they can do, the Krona, they can do the Machshimon, Bezichem, Zolaf, Brent werden. So he wanted to open a factory in Eretz Yisrael. So he went to Yechidus, and David told him, do you have the cash? He says, no, he's going to lend for this bank. That bank said, David, do me a favor. Don't take no bank loans. Until you have the cash, don't open. He's telling me the story. He's like, the Herrscher, ich bin doch nicht gechosid. So I went to the bank. And they took off his son from a plane to put him into prison. And that's his soul. I'm a folk nicht. Those people who listened is good bozeh ubebo. No question about it. Rebbe takes care of his plan. Just telling a story about the Erev Shavuos, about that appointment. The guy's going to come pick me up to go to the minyan. A beautiful story. It's interesting. Everyone knows that Tovshin Tess and Michal Dvorkin passed away. Michal Dvorkin and Agrisa Chosid. When my met him in 770 when he first came. So this is Michal Dvorkin, Erev Shavuos, gegangen in mikveh, took a haircut, cut his nails, and sat down on one of the benches on Eastern Parkway, and Yotza Nishmosei. Went up. as they say in England, they went up north, upstairs. No, come on, police, come on this, come on Jens. And, you know, we got to bury him, we got to do something about him. And they never found out about it. And the Rebbe said, "We'll send him back before Yontif." Because Yontif in America starts 8, 9. No, but you need a doctor's certificate. Without a doctor's certificate, you ain't going to get anything. The poil, no doctor wanted to sign. A guy drops dead in the middle of the street. You don't know anything, and it's against the law. So there was a Dr. Nass. Those of you remember Dr. Nass, I remember him very well. And and somehow the Rebbe got to, the Rebbe knew about it, maybe the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said to him, "Dr. Nass, I want you to sign me a death certificate. I want to get, it has to be buried before Shabbos." So Nass gekracht and gekracht, I could lose my license. Says the Rebbe turned around to Dr. Nass and said, "If you do it, I promise you, imi b'mechitzosi." He wasn't a fool. He realized that the Rebbe Zokt as a not so simple. Signed the death certificate and they buried him. They didn't tell the Frierdiker Rebbe. He used to eat by the Frierdiker Rebbe's table upstairs. Only Motzei Yontif, the Rebbe asked, "Wo hat man hem gelegt?" Comes 1977, this was 1949. Comes 1977, 78, maybe even later, and Nass gets ill. So he calls up Label. He says, "Label, the doctors don't give me too much time. I want to, the Rebbe said it, you should remember." So Label walks into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, "Nass is not well." And he reminded the Rebbe, before even he finished the sentence, the Rebbe said, "Ich hab zugesagt und ich will mekayem sein, ich bin a Wortsmensch." I promised him, and I will keep my word because I'm a man of my word. Meise Oyem v'Neira. L'chaim, es geht bald Shavuos, Kabbalas HaTorah, Nase v'Nishmas. Chassidus has a beer. That what's the mice of the kof aleim hakigigis? Shouldn't they come mice of all Rishenim and everybody thought everybody is worth anything has what to do about it. And what's interesting is that I feel the misnagdim Chaim Valozhina says pshat exactly. Either he stole it from the Alter Rebbe, or he heard it from the. We know for a fact that he used to hear my morim, he used to chazach siddur for him. That was a pshat kof aleim hakigigis. You know, become the Rabbi Lerais. You can't do that. No, by Yiddishkeit, there's no such thing. That was given in such a way that they even had no choice. When your koifes, what's about your koifes something? You beat him up, you get the malchus, mahakt him on the brecht him on the beiner. So then he's maskim. So that's my regular case of fear. But here the Rebbe was in his gala, Al Pamal Shamaylo, Al Malochim, the whole Sarfe Kedesh. So the Yidden had no choice. So das pshat kof aleim hakigigis. So yeah, you come to Yed Matan Teire. When we have this whole business, the Eibishter bon Nachamol, and the Mittler Rebbe writes famous Maimer, Lahavan Inshan Chayil. The Eibishter is looking. Are we interested? We want to continue. And Yed the Dor and Bemis in the Mittler Rebbe, and I think in Merbina and other places, he says the Gilui by Matan Teire was not the last Gilui. Mashiach is a hechere Gilui. A very interesting lush. It's like in the beginning over there. It says in a few places. And Shariera also, I think. So someone showed it to me. Unbelievable. And the Emes Gilui was at Zion as I lost it love. Matan Teira was talking very good. The Emes Hanishmat, everything else. But the Ike Gilui of Lepoel, those who's given Matan Teira, we have to do it. No question about it. Yira law is the hechsta madrege. By Ava, there's always the yeshus involved. Now you talk about Avis Hashem, but there's a yesh mishoyev. I feel myself. Ich bin da. And Yira law is bittul. So when it comes by Matan Teira and the Gilui, and as a result of that, we have to by Yom Tov, by Kam Shavuos. Now, if I trachten what the whole thing is about, on the Kabul Zayin, the Torah, b'simcha b'pnimius, simcha because you're happy about it. Simcha mem asheinu matev chakenu, mezen chsidim, mezen merebens chsidim, mashayches chsidis, mashayches memes. and to realize what we have, to appreciate what we have. At the end of the day, I don't think, that we really appreciate what we have compared to the others. You take a look at some of these guys, the whole thing is all about. They stay up all night and say, man, the chap malochem by the doors. Whatever they know. Matan Teira was a Gila Likus. And by the Lubavitch, when there's feet to give a rights and Lukuta de Burim, as after they used to give that says Adibris for everybody used to scream Mazel Tov. Was given the marriage of Knesset Yisroel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, have to realize what this is. By the Sfardim, they make a whole thing with Achupa, with Noim. And we have to realize what we have, and we have to realize and appreciate. And it's the koiches that everybody knows that one of the things, the Moed Cho, what's the pshat Moed Cho? Everybody has his koiches. You don't demand, the Rebbe never demanded from someone who can't do anything that he should do something which is impossible. HaKadosh Baruch Hu only asks what a person can do. Has koiches. Now, Pshailis, what is the koiches? So if you take a look at the shluchim all over the world today, you see that guys who you thought when they were in yeshiva, and today the marish oilam is why I'm a zugeben zum Rebbe, and you realize that the Rebbe you're just a mashpech, and the Rebbe at Gießen and Gießen and Gießen, as the Rebbe said, the famous Yud Shvat. And if you open your mouth, and you follow what the Rebbe will, then the Rebbe will certainly help each and every single one of us. And Talmidim, whether they sitzen and learning, Basmodu, Shkide. The Rebbe didn't have any greater nachas ruach. What was the greatest nachas ruach? Had gesagt, the Bochum sitzen and steigen and learning. And that was the greatest nachas ruach we gave to the Rebbe. No greater nachas ruach. And they had unbelievable agnes nefesh. They once told me, the Rebbe once looked out in the windows of Bochum talking in the streets. It was the Reizakop. Was this an additional learning? All right, I'm all done for end for B'Teilim. Come in the mikveh, Bislam outside. No, L'chaim, I gotta go down. Rebbe shall help him. Man soll weg Sidim, und man soll tun, was der Rebbe will, und sein Kusche zum Rebbe, und so gießen sich mit Avis Yisrael, und gießen sich mit Nigel und Chassidus, Neues für die Kavone, and the Yemot at Mezecha sein, hopefully, this year it's too much, you can stay the string, you can't, the Rebbe hat es zugesagt, and the Rebbe is ein Wortsmensch. The Rebbe saw it, but Ashbin is gewinnt, Pelacharim und Hilgus, aber Ashbin ist gegen Churm. Aber bei uns ist der größte Churm. L'chaim, Menschen alle miteinander, Kabel da mit Terev Simcha, mit Pnimes, und man sagt, alles gut, L'chaim.